It's loading. Hang on.
Good morning, Senator West.
Good morning.
Check one thing here. All right, I think we're live. All right, we are going to start rolling here. I'm Delegate Chris Tomlinson, Chair of the House Delegation. Also, Senator Justin Reedy, who's Chair of the Senate, Carroll Senate Delegation. Two of us will be chairing the meeting. Just want to make sure we've got everybody on the line here. I see Delegate April Rose, Delegate Christopher Eric Boucher, Delegate Josh Stanko, and Senator Chris West. So we've got the whole band here, all six members. We also have with us Donovan Ham, who joins us as our delegation counsel from the Department of Legislative Services. So appreciate Donovan being with us. And with that, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic
for which it
stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for contributing your flags. All right. Next up, we've got the approval of our minutes from our November 21st meeting. Everybody on the delegation should have received them earlier this week. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
All right. So I think that was a nomination, or not nomination, but I believe a Senator Reedy, and the second by Senator West. So everybody in favor, say aye.
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 All right. So unanimous vote to approve the minutes. Next up, we've got 4 bills on our voting list that we need to vote on to decide whether to move forward with as delegation bills or not. First one on the voting list is our public facilities bonds authorization for 36.9 million. I believe it's up to 36.9 million. Every year we do a bond bill. So I'll open it up to comments.
Is there anyone from the county here to maybe chime in just a little bit for the public? I think that would be helpful. We have a lot of knowledge, but I think those want to know what's going on. Thank you.
Yeah, good point. Yes, we've got with us, I believe, the deputy administrator on the line. Deb Effingham, are you able to? There you are.
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Thank you.
All right, for the FY26 CIP program, there is $36.9 million being requested, and it goes with our preliminary recommended CIP. The projects, I'm trying to find the one sheet right now, so if you can just bear with me, that kind of gives me the funding sources to make sure I know, because I don't have the list in front of me of bonded projects. Was that shared with the delegation by the Department of Management and Budget?
Yeah, I think I might have it here.
We did receive a list, and we'll be sure everybody in the delegation has it.
Okay, good.
Getting it, yeah.
Typically what we have is some schools that will have some capital, some bond requests in it. Let me go through that real quick. We have Freedom Elementary Edition, HVAC for Carroll Springs. Let's see what else we have. Pre-kindergarten additions. And that is for the, to help with the blueprint requirements.
Yeah.
Sykesville Middle Edition. Roof replacement at Shiloh Middle. We have some NPDES projects. That's our stormwater to be in compliance with our stormwater management. We have the match for our agricultural preservation program. That's 1.3 million for to match mouth. We have our overlay program for our roads, our major roads. Yeah, that's about 7.8 million on the roads. Small drainage structures, which also is repairing the road systems and the bridges. Bridges. Not sure if we have any bonds on the bridges this time. We'll look. We have Gaither Road over South Branch Patapsco Bridge. Hughes Shop Road Bridge over Bear Branch Road. McKinstry's Mill Road over Little Pipe Creek. McKinstry's Mill Road over Sam's Creek. And McKinstry's Mill Road over tributary to Little Pipe Creek. So lots going on there. We also have Patapsco Road over East Branch Patapsco, Stone Chapel Road over Little Pipe Creek, and Woodbine Road over South Branch Patapsco. So quite a few bridges, not a whole lot in bond funding though for those. Nothing in our CIP for Rec and Parks is funded with bonds. That is all like dedicated funding from impact fees and program open space. So that should cover most of the bonding.
Okay. Delegate Boucher.
Thank you, Chairman. Ms. Effingham, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed on this. And I like hearing the fact that these bridges are going to be taken care of. I remember as a county commissioner hearing from Mr. Zaleski how Agnes flood 50-some years ago wiped a lot of those bridges out. And that's why I want the public to know all these bridges are coming on board now all at once. And I was involved with the inspection or review of these. So it's very satisfying to see the allocation of the resources to take care of these bridges. Thanks for updating us.
You're welcome.
What we do in Carroll County, we build bridges. All right, can I get a motion to for us to move forward with this as a delegation bill?
Motion to approve the bonds.
Second.
All right, and we'll just go through here. Just say aye if you support the motion.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All right. So anybody with any nays? I didn't hear any. All right. All right, next up, we have the Office of Permits and Inspections. They requested the denial of commercial permits or licenses for unpaid property taxes. During the November meeting, we had a bit of a discussion on this. One of the points that something that was brought up, I believe, by Delegate Sanko was about whether how this would affect active disputes, and we were able to confirm that there is language in the bill that does address that if there's an active dispute going on, that you will still be able to you will not be denied a commercial permit or license. I believe that's the way the language is reading currently, which is what we wanted.
Right. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think we confirmed that. And just because the issue of taxes has been in the news a lot lately, and we're all, of course, very much opposed to tax increases. Just to be clear, when we talk about personal property tax, for anybody watching, this is the state and the county. There's a tax on businesses that own property owned by the business. And that's when they talk about, but it's considered personal property. So when we talk about personal property tax, we are not talking about people's home property taxes. As I said at our public hearing, I don't really like the state taxing personal property, but we do. That is the law, and so the counties had issues where they've not been able to collect, and so people that are paying the tax, obviously we want people to people to be in compliance. And so this gives the county a tool to make sure that people, that a business that isn't doing what they're supposed to do does pay the personal property tax. So I support it. I'd be willing to make a motion to support this bill now that we've confirmed that it's not going to affect if someone's disputing.
Okay, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Delegate Boucher. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, we will go to a vote. Can I, if you are in support of moving forward with this, say aye.
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 And any nays? All right. So unanimous, 6-0. Thank you. Number 3, the third one we have here is criminal history check for county employees. Can I get a motion? Then we can have some discussion about it if needed.
So moved.
All right. Delegate Boucher made a motion, I think.
Second.
Stanco motion, Delegate.
I'm
Boucher
sorry.
second. Yep, no, it's okay. Yep.
Delegate Stanko, and then for a second.
Delegate Boucher.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. So yeah, we can have some discussion on it. Any thoughts on this one?
Go ahead, Senator. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, I'm not opposed to it. And I know we've talked about there could be some questions. Some of the committees in the General Assembly get a little wonky about background checks, but I mean, making sure we know somebody who had a criminal offense, and we talked about this in the public hearing, somebody who had some minor criminal offense 12 or 15 years ago is not going to keep them from working in our roads department or working in, working for, or whatever. But you do want to do background checks to be sure that, you don't have some serious thing that's floating out there from 2 or 3 years ago or some serious financial malfeasance or something like that. So, I mean, I think this is fine. And I trust the county to operate it in a fair and efficient manner.
Yeah, I think real quickly too, it was brought up in our team meeting, our delegation meeting back in November, but I think it's a quick call out because there's been some evolution in a bill that was passed out of the legislature. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. One of the things that was the concern is the expansion of pre-K and and using some of these state expansionary tools for early childhood and some of the county impact on that. One of the things that just came up is backdating to the issues with the what was kind of targeted towards the Catholic Catholic Church and some of the things that came out of that. There was a law that was passed around kind of opening up the book, so to speak, for anyone that wants to claim punitive response to something that happened to them when they were younger or at any point in their place. And recently there was they just said that we're now looking at probably multiples of billions of dollars of lawsuits for the state, local, and municipalities due to similar things or accusations of similar things happening with government as well. And so kind of in that spirit, I think the idea, one of the ideas being here is that there's a strong argument for negligence if we're not doing this. And so I think that's something that as we bring this forward in committee, let's just make sure we're highlighting that recent thing that the lead sponsor of this original bill, he has already said that he recognizes he's probably going to have to rework that original bill because it's effectively a blank check in bankruptcy for the state otherwise. So we want to make sure we're protecting the county proactively rather than so that's not happening to kids and people. And background checks are a very seamless and smart way to as a starting point.
Let me just add in that regard, Justin Reedy and I were talking about this earlier this morning, that the two of us voted against that bill. We were two of the few in the state Senate who voted against it.
I think Delegate Stanko just did a really good job there, and I think I'm gonna volunteer him to cover this bill hearing for this delegation bill. So
Good idea.
you did a good job explaining why this bill is necessary. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for breaking that down, and thank you, Senator Weston Reedy, for that vote 2 years ago, I think it was. Any more discussion on this one?
Actually, I could just add that bill is now before the Supreme Court of Maryland. There have been arguments, and there were several months ago. Any day now, the court is going to make a decision as to whether that bill is constitutional or not. My money is on it being held unconstitutional, but we'll see.
Which you made that argument, I believe, over and over again 2 years ago. So
I did, to no avail, but I
Well,
did.
and there would be a way to go back and try to help people from before, but you have to have some limits on it. And I think that the problem was that there was this rush to, do something, and we all were sympathetic to the situations that were being talked about. Sometimes, it's just challenging. So we'll see what the court does. But if the court doesn't take action, they also could take partial action and maybe not overturn the whole thing. So could be really good. The newspaper article this morning was really a Katie bar the door kind of thing with some of these lawsuits. And so we'll see. But it is a good point that having a policy like this in place, Josh, Delegate Stocko's excellent point. This is the kind of stuff you can point to reduce your liability. It doesn't resolve everything, but you can say, hey, we're doing the best we can to be sure we're not hiring people who have some sort of problem in their background of that kind of nature. So anyway, yeah. So I think go ahead, Delegate.
I just want to say, I would imagine that there's room in these background checks to make judgment decisions based on how long ago something occurred, what were the circumstances around the situation, and depending on the person working for the county, what their interaction is, let's just say with minors, children, anyone of that nature. I would certainly defer to a good, strong HR department to have the discretion to make, an educated decision based on the information that is found. So I fully support doing this.
Delegate Boucher?
Yeah, I'll reiterate exactly what Delegate Rose said. It's very important. I know someone who, while in college, publicly urinated in Annapolis, and that wound up on their record. And things like that do come up. I totally agree with the delegate that a lot of discretion will fall upon the HR department. So thanks for bringing up that point.
Any more discussion? All right, that we will take a vote. If you would like, believe we should move forward with this bill, please say aye.
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 And any nays? All right, that's 6-0, unanimous. And then our final bill that we need to vote on is our deer hunting on Sundays bill. Whether it's Deb or Delegate Boucher, would either of you like to take a stab at maybe just explaining again what this would do, what this would change?
All right. I don't know if Deb's a hunter or not, but it'd be cool if she is. The way the language of the law states now is they allow Sunday hunting on private land, not public land. But in certain counties, they've restricted it in the early season. So September, Carroll County does not have Sunday hunting. I think the value of adding the Sunday hunting in the early season is a lot of senior citizens do not go out and hunt when the weather starts getting really bad. They'll slip in the snow or they get cold. So allowing more people to hunt on their private property on Sundays, I think is good. It'll have benefit. We have a lot of deer issues in the county. So harvesting some extra deer early in the season will be beneficial. So I think it's a positive thing for us.
Can I ask, Mr. Chairman, I was going to ask, is this just bow hunting? Remind me, is this just for bow hunting in that? Or is this going to,
I think it's black, isn't it black powder also?
I believe, yeah, give me 1 second. Let me pull.
Oh, it's black powder and bow hunting, but it's,
Yeah.
Okay.
Have we heard any feedback from the horse community? I know it's private, not public, but the way that we are in Carroll County, there's a lot of private and public next to each other.
Yeah,
Have we had any negative feedback? I haven't personally gotten anything, but
I have not.
okay.
Senator Reedy, the way the bill reads, it says on each Sunday of the deer firearms season, and on the last 3 Sundays in October and the first 2 Sundays in November of the deer bow hunting season. So bow hunting and I believe also using a firearm.
yeah. It's only bow hunting in September. And I think
Okay.
years ago, there was a lot of uproar from the horse community, how you say it, the equestrian community. But their main concern, and I'll address this if anyone's out there listening, is the public land. And that was the issue we had in Tapsco Valley hunting. So what they did, they compromised like 3 days in the middle of the week, you could ride horses, not bow hunt. But then certain weekends you could bow hunt but not ride horses. But this bill is for private land
For private.
only. So it totally changes the issue. And I think that's what we have to do is reassure that community that this is private land. If they're riding horses on someone's private land and they're offended someone's bow hunting on it, well, they're on the wrong land and they're trespassing. So I think it's pretty much a non-issue.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Can I get a motion to
So moved.
approve? All right.
Second.
I believe there was a motion by Delegate Stanco and a second by Delegate Boucher. Any more discussion on this piece of legislation? Hearing nothing. We will take a vote. If you want to move forward with this, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Don't hear anything, so unanimous. Thank you. And then that takes us to the new business portion of our agenda, which is the county commissioner appointment of a school board vacancy. So this is something that's been kind of talked about here and there over many years. And what this has to do with is currently the state. So each county is actually set up different from one another when it comes to filling a school board vacancy. The way that the current law reads for specifically just Carroll County, it says says the governor shall appoint a new voting member to fill any vacancy on the board, as in the school board, for the remainder of the term and until a successor is elected and qualifies. We have not had this situation in many years. In fact, the last time this happened, it was actually back-to-back years. There was a vacancy back in 2007 on the school board, followed with another one in 2008. So it's been many years. You know, it could be another decade or two until it happens again. But I conducted a bunch of research and or my team, my staff did a bunch of really great research, and the way that the breakdown looks county to county, removing Baltimore City because Baltimore City's school board is all appointed, but for the rest of the 23 counties who all have, in some varying degree, elected members. Some counties have a hybrid, but as far as how they replace elected members, if there's a vacancy, the remaining school board members replace or fill the vacancy. The remaining school board members review applications and select to fill the vacancy, and that is 3 counties do that. That's 3 counties that have the remaining school board members decide who the replacement will be. Including Carroll County. There's 6 counties that are set up the way Carroll is, where the governor selects, fills the vacancy. And then the largest collection of counties with 14 counties have it where it's either their board of county commissioners, their county council, or their county executive. So somewhere between the 3 of them, it's their local county elected leaders who are reviewing applications and deciding who to fill the vacancy, and that is 14 counties. So the overwhelming majority of counties already leave it up to the local elected leaders. I know that everybody on this call, I'm sure, believes in local control. So the idea here is just to move over this authority over from the governor over to the local county government, like most counties are. With that, I'll open up for discussion. I'm sure we'll have some discussion.
Yeah, I can go first. I guess a couple of things. My views on this is as the state starts to fully implement and the counties start to fully implement the blueprint to bankrupt Maryland's future, it is important that the financing body of the Board of Education, who currently has an ex officio member, has an alignment around that for the framework of implementation and cost management, which the budget for the Board of Education, I think, is really the most important thing over the next couple of years, and kind of going forward, whether we have whether Carroll County long term has a Republican majority, a independent majority, a Democrat majority, having that alignment in a local way, I think, is a critical component. And so I think that, taking it in that framework, and we've had some times in the past in Carroll County's history where, like, someone moves, someone has a change in their job situation, et cetera. Being able to move quickly with local knowledge of the local board, I think, is critical. So I appreciate you bringing this forward and think it's an important idea that we move forward with.
Delegate Boucher.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Delegate Stocko. There's some really, really good points. I was wondering if maybe we could break this down to a bit of a hybrid situation, or maybe the school board does some interviews and looks over resumes, makes a recommendation, and sends it to the commissioner board for them to approve. It's kind of an image of what we do if we become vacated in our seats, that the central committee would make recommendations to the governor. So we'd still divide up the process a little bit between the school board and the commissioner board instead of making it just commissioner board. It's just a thought for discussion and possible idea.
So you're talking about the remaining 4 members would oversee the process of advertising that there's a vacancy, reviewing the applicants, and then sending over, I don't know, 1 to 2 to 3 names to the commissioners who would make the final decision. So it's interesting you bring that up, because one of the things that as my office was doing the research, we did come across that there are some counties, I believe it's Wacomico, Baltimore County, and Washington County, that they have in the state law, in the case of a vacancy, there's an ad hoc nominations committee that's formed, who it's their responsibility to review who reviews the applications and then sends recommendations to the commissioners. So you're kind of, what you're proposing is kind of in that same light of having 2 separate bodies, one body that reviews the applications, does the vetting, and then another that sends it, and then another body that does the final approval. I'm open.
Can I let me interject here for 1
Yes.
second on that. And number one, I think we're certainly going to give this a week anyway. We weren't going to vote it today.
Correct.
Just because we're just now introducing it.
Correct.
I know that's what we talked about. It's the one thing I was concerned about, the school board appointing its own replacement, which I know is not what Delegate Boucher just said, but if you have 4 people, it's sort of like, you can end up where you get splits and it's 2 and 2, and trying to figure out the best way to handle it. So I liked the idea of the commissioners, who are the funding body, having the choice. I wouldn't mind setting up a process, though. Yeah, or some type of required ad hoc committee or something of that nature. So yeah, I mean, but I don't know that I want the school board vetting its own possible members. I don't know. I mean, this hasn't happened in 15 years and probably won't happen again, but anytime soon. But, I think it's an important issue to address. And we can certainly kind of bounce some ideas around.
Yes, and just to make sure there's no current vacancies, and I think everybody's perfectly healthy. Nobody's planning on going anywhere. It's somebody the press reached out yesterday and had to make it very clear that we don't believe there's any vacancies coming up soon, but we just wanted to this is something that's been talked about for years. Delegate Boucher.
Thank you, Chairman. And I think Senator Reedy made really, really good points on that. I think having been a county commissioner, I know how overwhelmed you are with the amount of data and information coming out to you. And it can be difficult to really dig down into some of the resumes and applicants. So having some sort of separate review body to process stuff and at least bring that data to you is helpful as a commissioner to make that decision. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. And just to give a little more breakdown on the whole idea of a nomination commission, the membership of these different nomination commissions, they're different county to county, but some of these positions on the nominations commission for the different counties, they have where the Senate delegation has a member, the House delegation has a member, the Chamber of Commerce or the business community has a representative or has a member on it. Different citizens advisory councils, they'll have a member on it. Some counties had where their municipalities had a representative / member on it. And they were all very different depending on the different counties that did have a nominations committee. So if that was something we wanted to entertain, which I've gone back and forth personally on whether that was a good idea or not. I mean, it's really whatever we want to make it, but I do have a list of other counties and how they, what makes up their memberships.
I would also argue that it's like, we could also, if we leave it open, we're not dictating to how the county commissioners come about that appointment where, if they want to do it that way and that's the system they set up, great. If they want to do it, ad hoc, that's fine too. That's kind of my view of like, if we get kind of a call from the group of concerned about it, it's like, hey, we want to leave it open for the best way for you all to come up with the decision, but we're not fans of the current way it's done effectively.
Yeah, the key for me is that the ultimate decider should be the county commissioners. Who does the vetting isn't that important to me one way or the other. I just don't think we want to make the process terribly complicated.
Yeah.
Another point that I think is worth having a discussion on is so our school board, 5 members, 2 get elected in one cycle, 3 in the next. So just this past November, we had 2 members elected, Greg Malvo and Kristen Zimmer. And then in 2026, the other 3 seats will be up on the ballot. So once again, looking at how other counties had this set up, I think it's worth entertaining the idea that for the 2, and I'm just going to give an example of Greg Malvo and Kristen Zimmer because they just got elected. If for some reason their seat was to become vacant this year, do we think that it's fair that the person who would be selected to fill that vacancy, that they should defend their seat come the next statewide election? So in this case, it would be the primary election in next spring or June, I think it is, in June 2026. Obviously, if you were appointed after if you were appointed within a certain time frame around the nomination or the following deadline around that election, it would not apply, and you would be able to get appointed and finish out the whole 4-year term. But my point is if you're appointed, in essentially year one of a 4-year term, should you be able to finish out that 4-year term entirely, or should you have to defend your seat come the next statewide election? And without sounding, hypocritical, obviously that is not currently the case with us as state legislators. If one of us was to resign for whatever reason, year one of our election, whoever replaced us would finish out the whole 4-year term. But I think all of us on this call know that year after year, this is a discussion, and I think we're getting much, much, much closer to there being some major changes to how a vacancy is filled in the state legislature. And I think one of the ideas is exactly what I'm proposing. I know it's one of the ideas I'm proposing, that if you are appointed to fill the vacancy in essentially year one, or first year and a half of a 4-year term, you are expected to defend your appointment if you want to at the next statewide election. So I'll stop talking and open up for discussion on that matter.
I would just argue that complexity will be the root. Complexity in election law will be the root of this bill not moving. So I would encourage us to leave that alone.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, I think, do we want to go ahead and say, let's table this for now and come back to the next meeting and be ready for, and see what kind of feedback we get from putting this out there, and have some discussion, and we can make a decision. It's also possible to introduce a bill and then make some amendments as well, but I think we may want to give it we're going to have at least one more meeting. So in my opinion, I would move that we not table it permanently, but just, hold it for a week. It may be, I think we may need next Friday, possibly. So let's say it's at least a week, and get some feedback and talk and make some decisions.
It needs to be in drafting today.
Well, I did send over yesterday a draft. So we had a holding place. Obviously, we couldn't. The cutoff is 5:00 today. So I did send over a very simple draft that we can obviously make any necessary changes, but we had to send something over. Otherwise, this would be a moot point come next week.
I want to second the senator's motion and openly solicit all the players involved here watching, please weigh in with us on our discussions, what we talked about, so we have more information next week to finalize the decision. Thank you.
Yeah, and the Carroll County Times did reach out yesterday and asked me a bunch of questions, so I think that there will be some kind of story on this. I imagine we will start to get some feedback from some constituents. I haven't seen an article. I checked about an hour ago, and I hadn't seen that an article was out there yet, but I'm sure we'll get some feedback. Okay. So I guess we'll take a vote on tabling this for till next week. And I believe Senator Reedy formally or informally made a motion, and Delegate Boucher made a second. If everybody's in favor of holding off on this till next week, say aye.
Aye.
All right, cool. So yes, we will, and with that, we will meet next week, same time, unless any of our members here in the delegation has an issue. Let me know, and we can play around with rescheduling it. But as of now, I'd say 11:00 next Friday, I think would be good.
Well, 11:00 next Friday, will we have session, or we may not have session. All right, just depending what they do with that.
True. What is the Senate? The Senate, are they pro forma on Fridays as of now? Okay, so yeah, if something changes with the House, then obviously we'll need to reschedule. Good point.
Well, the rest of January, we're pro forma Wednesdays and Fridays. Which
Okay.
doesn't mean we get Wednesdays off. The bill hearings start at 10 o'clock Wednesday morning.
Yeah. True. Okay, so yeah, as of now, we'll go with 11 o'clock next Friday unless something changes. Anything else for the good of the order?
Before we adjourn, I want to compliment you on the staff you have. I'm in the same office and you've brought on some tremendous help, some very bright young minds for the future of our establishment and party, and they support you exceedingly well. I want to compliment you on how well you ran this meeting today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, we got a good team this year, good staff. We just need more room. We're running out of room. We don't have all that space like the Senators do over there.
We'll keep a desk open.
Do we have anybody on the line that wanted to say anything from the public? Sam, I guess Sam Jones, you would have that knowledge, right?
Yeah, this link was not accessible to the public.
Oh, okay. Scratch that. All right. So with that, if the public does have any comments, please reach out to all six of us. Our emails can be found on the Maryland General Assembly's website, our phone numbers and email addresses, and we'd love to hear back any feedback, especially on the last potential bill that we discussed. So with that, can I get a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All right, a motion by Senator Reedy with a second by Senator West. And everyone supports closing or ending the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Ayes have it. Thank you, everybody, and see you.